it's common sense to most people. Most people see that we spent so much money on the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Ukraine, while everything's crumbling at home. The trains are derailing at home. And, we just have to hammer the common sense issues. We have to hammer these things that make sense to everybody, like anti-imperialism and, pro-working class policies, rebuilding the infrastructure, healthcare. Like, it's been really interesting this week since my mom just walked in and made me think of this. Like, spending the week with my parents and family and friends and extended family. At the same time that leftists on Twitter are having discourse about abolish the family, hashtag abolish the family. And it's just so stupid and so disconnected from reality, the debates that leftists are having versus, talking to my family about the war in Ukraine and, doing things for workers and higher wages. They're all on board. We talked to my cousin. She was, or my cousin's wife just quit her job at a coffee shop because she was making tiny or incredibly low wages while inflation continues to rise, and basically got her to embrace a socialist position just by talking about that, by talking about the things going on in her life. Meanwhile, the left on Twitter is screaming about abolish the family. Like, if we have a focused, class-based, anti-imperialist-based movement, we're going to win people over, and it's only a matter of time. Like, this is common sense to the vast majority of America at this point. As I said, the people running the show are the neocons. Like, even small business owners and the petty bourgeoisie, their interests are not in line with these people in any way, shape, or form. So the American people are ready, as Noah said a lot this stream. We just have to have a message that they are drawn to.
There was a
Abolish the
time.
family is an objectively stupid slogan. It's just stupid. You're never. Do you really try saying that to a coworker? Go up to him and go, "Let's abolish the family." And then when you say that, they're like, "But Engels said," and you're like, "No, he didn't." No, do you think Engels wanted to ad hoc start voluntarily abolishing things? Engels knew that wasn't how things work. And if you use a little common sense, you'll see that too.
Right, and it's the opposite of their whole, like, very middle class spirit and approach to, like, sexual relations, because, like, the conclusion of the origins is that, well, you had polygamy, then you have, a thanks to patriarchy, this long period where there's supposed to be monogamy, but it's really polygamy for the men. They can go around and cheat however much they want, but because of their position of power within the family, the woman is forced into monogamy, the man can sleep with as many people as they want. And then socialism, the sublation of that, the overcoming of that, would be a condition where there's actual monogamy and familiar relations that are based on love, right? Which today you can be more open-minded and add different forms of familial relations, gay familiar relations, and etc. It doesn't have to be exclusive to straight families, but it's families that are based on love, not on the family being an economic unit, not on the family being this polygamous. Everyone can just do whatever they want and break this sort of bond of loyalty to your partner. That was the idea. You can disagree with it, but what some people were doing, which is criticizing Eddie's thing and then appealing to Engels, it's like, buddy, you did not read the text, and it's pretty obvious. And it's not that we want to treat these texts in a doctrinaire manner, but if people are going to appeal to them and then do it wrongly, you have to call that out. You can tell that they didn't read. And just the idea, again, we go back to the monastery left. Like, it sounds pure for them, the idea of having within the repertoire of what you're asking for the abolishment of the family. And if working class people don't want to agree with that, then fuck them. At least my little insular group of monastery leftists will agree with it. And that's what they're concerned with. They're not concerned with, just like, there was I'm of course an immigrant. I was born in Cuba. I came here when I was little, and I've lived the sort of life that a chunk of immigrant American people are able to live. And there was a time where, telling people like me that they couldn't feel American was like a extremely reactionary thing to do. It was only the far right who would tell immigrants, "You're not American. You can't feel American. If you feel any pride in any part of the past of your country, You can't do it. It's just impossible. And now it's the left. Now it's literally the left that says you can't have any pride in any part of the past of your country. So if I align myself with the traditions of Frederick Douglass, of W.B. Du Bois, of Henry Winston, of Martin Luther King, of James Baldwin, of a part of Lincoln, the part of Lincoln that developed to the end, and a part of the original revolutionary tradition, which set the grounds for everything that comes after, as the recently passed historian Stoughton Lynn nicely put it. Like, in many ways, the more progressive side of the 1776 ideals, their practical and logical conclusion is socialism, right? So there's this whole tradition. If I feel pride in that tradition that has been anti-empire, anti-capitalism, anti-racism, anti-slavery, anti-genocide, anti-bigotry, if I feel pride in that tradition, I'm a bigot and a chauvinist. Really? Who talks like that is the people who've always talked like that have been the reactionaries on the right.
The
So
white
it's so completely
supremacists.
alienating. The white supremacists, right? And it's not without reason that one of the papers that we've published in favor of like proletarian patriotism, which is really just having a pride in this positive part of the tradition. That's how the paper understood it. It comes from Kayla Papachet, who's a brown woman, a person of color, who's Peruvian, wasn't born here, is a Peruvian immigrant, and people are shitting on her as a white nationalist, a white supremacist, a social chauvinist. What the fuck are you guys talking about? You guys are the ones that are actually that, because you're saying that this person who's an immigrant can't actually feel a certain bond to the positive history of this country. And the people who've always done that have been the reactionary right.